What's going on, YouTube? The Last Musketeer here, coming at you with part 2 of the Beyond the Free-to-Play series of Epic 7. Now I want to talk about the pop-up shop real quick, because I'm not sure how often this comes around, but it is a very, very nice addition, because getting all these extra resources and extra summons out of this for really cheap is extremely nice. I love this. I don't know how often this comes around, but hopefully it's at least once a month, so I can save up and try to spend in when I get the opportunity. But I beat Wyvern 13 over this last week and decided to save all my summons. I pulled the first guaranteed 4 to 5 and I get a 5-star in Chow, I'm not sure how to say that, but the second one I get Rose. So we already got a 5-star out of the summons. Unfortunately that's the only one I end up getting, but it is good to at least have one. And on the last pull I just pulled Rose, and in the Moonlight Summons I go in and pull her alternate version, Shadow Rose, which is kind of funny, a weird coincidence, but I do a couple more, and I get Bad Cat Armin, and I don't know if this hero is good or not necessarily, but I look at the kit and it seems like it could be a really cool or fun, interesting team that I could build, so I'd like to try something out with that hero eventually. I'm not sure when I'll get to it, but Mystic Summons, I had saved up a few and unfortunately didn't get anything good. I'm not expecting to keep the same luck that I had throughout the free-to-play Is It Worth It series, but, you know, at least I did get a 5-star. I'm saving my Covenant Summons for later on. I don't necessarily want to pull on either of the current banners. If I see some heroes in the next one that are interesting, I might end up pulling them then, but as you can see in Arena, I finally hit a big milestone. I got into Masters. Just Masters 5, but it's still a big jump from where I was, because like the last 3 or 4 weeks, I was sitting in gold, so excited to finally be out of that situation. But I'm showing you one of the fights from the Masters 5, and this Melissa character is actually really cool. Has some of the sickest animations I've seen in this game so far, and this game has really nice animations everywhere, so that's saying something in itself. I'd love to get my hands on this hero. Seems like a kind of a pesky PvP type hero, and I didn't have a buff cleanse, so getting rid of the immortality was out of the question. I had to wait for it to actually fall off, and I was afraid it wasn't for a little bit because she just kept having it up through her turn, so eventually it fell off. I was able to finish her off and get that one done, but that seems to be probably one of the easiest fights I will go through, because most of the lineups actually had like full teams of 60 with decent lineups, so I'm really going to have to make a point of working on a PvP team as time goes on here. My main focus was just trying to get the main story done for episode 2, doing as much improvement to my heroes as I could to try to tackle Wyvern 13, and I got that done, so that was nice. I'm just showing you a brief look of what my heroes currently are. Secret's almost 100k, which is not bad. She got some decent stats. Mui is doing alright as well, and I decided to go ahead and max that out. Luckily, I got a great roll and got 2 levels up for 1 actual charm, so that was really nice to see. Fury is sitting at 69,069 power. For meme's sake, he's there for the moment. I'm not gonna mess with him, but most of the stuff I haven't worked up, and this is a big one I need to focus on, because Conqueror Lilia's is the one I took out of the headhunting event, and she's going to be so good moving forward. So her, Spectre Tenebria, those are 2 that I'm really looking to work up in the next coming week. And while I'm reading skills in the background, I want to address a couple things. So right now my mic sounds a little different. Hopefully it's not too weird sounding. The filter I use has an update, and once I updated it, it ended up making my mic pop like every 2 or 3 seconds. It was very annoying. I wasn't able to use it anymore. So this is unfiltered. This is just my microphone itself, and because of the space of the room and how I have it set up, it doesn't sound as smooth as it should. I do apologize on that. But the second thing is, I really want to put more of the actual fighting and more higher level content into this next week, hopefully, because I've been trying to work up Spectre Tenebria. I really want to get her as high as I possibly can so I can try to see just how good she can be overall and show her off a little bit more, because I try to add fights here and there, but there's not a lot of interesting fights. So I'm doing Abyss currently, but I skip a good majority of them because some of them took a really long time, some of them were fairly easy, but this is floor 60, and for some reason 60 hasn't been that hard. Getting past 56, as I was stuck in the last video, was the biggest part. I got past that. Everything since then has been actually extremely easy, and it's weird in that sense that you hit a roadblock, make some minor improvements to your team, and then all of a sudden you don't run into any more mishaps throughout the rest. The only thing that's limiting me right now is essentially running out of Abyss tokens every day. I'm not sure when I'll get stuck next. I'm going to try to keep making improvements. I'll probably just record the key moments, like every 5 levels or something, or when I get stuck I will record that as well, but I don't want to leave in a whole bunch of long fights because these are taking a bit of time. Vildred's not using the Joker card, so he doesn't have the best damage right now. And also, I want to say, this one was fairly easy. I was never in danger of losing. The problem was, this fight took 10 minutes, and that's no exaggeration. Even in 2 times, it was like 5 to 6 minutes. The fight was insanely long. That guy was just super tanky with the barrier. Very annoying. It had a 25% chance to proc, and it just kept procking. But that was the current one I was on. I just beat that. Other than it being long, it was pretty easy. So, once again, minor improvements. Maybe I can get some buff cleansing going on, so going forward with that shouldn't be as bad. This is the final fight of episode 2 of the campaign. So, I wanted to leave this in because last time, at the end of last week, I could not beat Stage 1, Part 10, and this time I flew through it, flew through the rest of the levels, get to this one, and did not fail. This was actually the first attempt. It was fairly easy. Furious at some point does go down, but he doesn't have the greatest gear on him. He's got just kind of rough gear right now. He's using an artifact that is based on effectiveness because I didn't have the gear to get him high effectiveness while having still decent stats, so he's kind of in placeholder. But honestly, really easy compared to the one at the start of the episode. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this play out and stop talking so you can watch the actual fight itself. Alright, so we're at the end of the fight, finally. It took a little bit. I tried to leave it in. I didn't want to cut it all out. I apologize if it was a bit too long, but we get through it. Episode 2 is done. Episode 3 is looking quite long and is probably going to be fairly hard, so I'm going to have to make a good amount of improvements moving forward. I unlock the Book of Memories so I can start going in and playing some previous chapters that are no longer available. I'm thinking about doing the one with the skin ticket first, because if that is a guaranteed pull of whatever skin I want, it's going to be really cool. I'd like to add a skin to somebody. I don't know who I would want yet, but looking at the Moonlight Theater, I had 2 of the heroes from it, so I get a couple tickets. I'm not sure what they're used for yet, but maybe it's just to watch some of the things or unlock some later ones. I'm not sure about it, but either way, I've got 2 tickets. That's cool. But beating episode 2 means that I can finally start working on Adventurer Ross, and I do have a couple that I'm working on currently, but they're really not that far off from being completed, so probably start with Arrowell, get hers done real quick, and then I can start on Adventurer Ross, because that's going to be a big improvement to my actual team. I tried to show off a Wyvern 13 run. I only attempted to do one, but this just goes to show I had beat it, but it is not viable for me to farm it whatsoever right now. I'm mainly just farming 11. I can farm 11 with no problems. I'm never in fear of losing. 12 I might be able to, but I really haven't checked it. It's probably not 100%. So I go with the guaranteed with 11 so I can just AFK farm while I'm doing other things. And Labyrinth, I'm making some actual decent progress. I'm currently on the second part of Nixie's Sanctum, so we're moving right along. I'm starting to get into the higher level ones. It's still fairly easy for me to clear, and of course I'm using the morale skip where I can actually go to checkpoints, so it's way easier. I have some more tokens. I'll do them off video and try to do it, but since I had been saving up a little bit of my enhancement materials, I wanted to try to craft some things and show you what the general crafting looks like, because this is what you're going to be doing quite often, especially late game, trying to get specific sets for people. It takes a little bit of time, and this one was actually a decent roll. Critical hit chance and damage, along with health, which I would have preferred to have attack instead of the health ones, but the critical hit chance and damage is nice. And for boots, this is going to be one of the hardest ones to roll, because for the most part I'm looking for attack percentage and speed. So, as the primary stat, I should say, because attack being for my damage dealer, speed being generally for my supports to keep everyone going, keep everything sustained. It's going to be the hardest thing to do. So, I'm just going in, trying to craft certain things. I unlock enough to do the epic craft, so I can show that off as well. I pick a speed set with the actual necklace, because these are the ones that are going to be some of the more important pieces. It did not roll that well, unfortunately, but that's part of it. It's a very long process. Any type of gear crafting you do, unless it's a guaranteed where you can pick some of the stuff like the events that happen sometimes, you're gonna have a bit of a hard time getting what you want, because there are 3 different sets to roll through. It's a bit of a gamble. Now, one thing I did want to show off is the actual where you can spend the arena tokens for pieces of gear. These are level 88 gear, so they're really nice. Some of them have good substats, some of them are a little iffy, but it's more, I think, PvP based anyway. So essentially these are good ways of getting sets if you're building up tokens. I don't necessarily know that it's the right thing to do, but I did go for it because I can use these pieces for, even if I don't use them late game, I can use them as placeholders currently for some of my heroes. And I actually put these pieces on Spectre Tenebria to put some stuff on her because she didn't have much. And I start leveling them up, and you'll kind of see how everything rolls. It's all dependent on rolls. Unfortunately, this necklace that could have been really good rolls health twice. Very unfortunate. But it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. You're not always going to be lucky. I try to take everything up to at least 12 if possible. Sometimes 9. It just depends on how well it rolls. If I feel like it's not worth it to go past a certain point, I won't. But this one rolled crit, effect resist, and speed, which is actually pretty nice. Effect resist is less useful because I can use immunities, but either way, it can help, especially in PvP. So, as you see here, I use one charm at a time. I was told to do that early on because each time you do it, you have a chance of rolling good or great to get extra XP. So if you're rolling with multiple pieces at a time, you're missing out on extra chances of getting better rolls. So do it one at a time. It's annoying in a sense, but at least in a way you have better chances. You're probably going to get more experience out of it. You don't want to risk putting multiple big ones on one and just not getting a good roll. But with all of this put forward, and I'm using a lot of the extra gear that I have because I earn so much through levels, I just keep running out of space over and over again. As you see at the side, I have, it says 57 out of 500. I have my hero capacity all the way up, my equipment capacity all the way up, and I still just fill up constantly. So another thing about her, I don't know what she actually needs. I'm putting Daydream Joker on her because, well, the max health is extremely nice. There's a lot more added damage to that, so it seems like the best option, but there may be ones that are better, maybe a stronger version that has the same kind of effect, but I don't have anything of that nature yet. We're throwing some Awakening Gems into her, and like I said, I'm missing out on a decent amount of resources towards putting her to 6-star. The main thing is I need to focus on farming that, and one disappointing aspect is that when you're farming and upgrading your actual food, you can't use duplicates. So I think overall it might actually be better for me to take 2 stars and just level them up constantly because I can have 3 different of them. Now don't get me wrong, I know that's a standard way to farm in most of the gachas. I'm just letting people know that since you can't use duplicates, it's very strange in a sense. So overall, you're going to probably get more bang out of your buck with using 2 stars. Or 3 stars if you want, but 3 stars generally have their uses. So I wouldn't necessarily use them. But we go in, we unlock fully the Moonlight Blessing for Spectre Tenebria. And I thought for a second that I was actually getting a second one, and I was really excited. But no, it's just showing the animation of the summon, even though it's the same one that you've already been working on. It's a bit strange, but it did fool me quite a bit there. But she's fully unlocked. Moonlight Blessing is done. So the main thing that I need to talk about now is what happens next. What is the plan for me? Because I know I still have campaign content to do, and I have a lot of events to do, but what is it that I really need to focus on now? And I think honestly, the main thing is I want to try to build some weird PvP teams. It may not be the best ones, obviously, but I like the idea of messing around with off-meta characters, so maybe by next week I can get a decent amount of farm, make some good improvements, and try to 6-star some heroes that I want to use going forward. So I may have some weird meta teams to show off, hopefully. Just depends on how much time I get. I spend a lot of time in the other series. I'm making essentially 4 videos every week, which isn't crazy, but with the time balancing, it gets a bit rough, so having all that time is a bit hard to do all the time. But guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. This is basically all I have for you here, and hopefully I'll have a lot more to show off and a lot more to talk about in the next one. But this has been The Last Musketeer, and I hope to see you in the next one, guys. Peace.